What is up, folks? This one's going to be a little bit different because I'm most probably going to have to change characters' names, and let's say it's loosely based on true events. And it's the story of two people in love, the PaNik story. Let's call them Namrata and Prashant. Originally, that was meant to be their names, but luckily, when they were born, someone came along and gave them better names. The rescue shut it and gave them better names. So that was a good thing. Now the story begins. Apparently, when they were kids, they used to play in Embu, but they didn't remember that until someone reminded them that they used to know each other from way back. And I'm going to speak as Prashant. So I was skiving school with my homie. So usually from high school, we walked from my high school to the girls' high school. Opposite there was a sports complex, and at the sports complex, just chill, check out the girls or whatever. This time around, we had finished swimming or we had finished lunch. Me and my boy were chilling in the outside changing area for the boys. And we saw these girls passing, so we were scared to come out. But from standing on the bench, I was watching them and I saw one firecracker. I just had to get to know her. And the boy I was with, he was very cool with the girls and he had connections. So he's like, yeah, I'm going to ask Namrata what her name is. Turns out her name was Namrata. So that happened. And around those same times, lunches happened again. Now that I knew the name, I had to get the attention. I didn't know how. So I would just shout the name out loudly in the complex. And she did not like that one bit. She was not happy with it. So she started chasing me. Exactly what the guy needed. So she started chasing me around. And finally, can you shut up? Do not say my name. Don't shout my name. And then here's where Prashant, I melted the heart. She told me, I'll slap you. I think she was on the top of the stairs. I was downstairs. And I'm like, come. And she's like, oh, once you said that, we exchanged. We started talking to each other. Actually, maybe a few months or a year later, they would bump into each other in Sarit Center. Hey, how you doing? This, that. And I'm like, oh my gosh. Back then, Prashant was really into his Bollywood, and just music was just something he could express. It spoke his language. So he told her one day, listen, I want to tell you something. Don't laugh at me. But I'm going to sing it to you because I don't know how to tell you. So I'm going to sing it. मेरा दिल ही कितना पागल है ये प्यार तो तुमसे करता है पर सामने जब तुम आते हो. Basically, my love, it's so crazy. I'm in love with you, but when you're in front of me, can't say anything. Unfortunately, she was seeing someone. Now the stories here change, and that will be a big pattern in this whole thing where she was seeing someone, but what I heard was she had just broken off with him. So we became an item thing, started writing letters to each other, phone calls 24/7 all the time. And she lived outside town in an area where my mom, my family, my uncle would have a factory there. And I was like, oh, no wonder I didn't get to see her that much and didn't bump into her as much. Her real boyfriend or ex, whatever, found out about me, especially because I was writing all around school on the walls, textbooks, wherever I could, that Prashant loves Namrata. So he's like, I'm going to beat him up, this, that. So it was a strange sequence of events where somehow, and this is what I call getting with the program, her ex got together with her best friend after me and her got together. And this is what I'm saying. Everyone's just exchanging partners. So in a way it worked out. But one of the days, it was Navratri time. We all get together in KICC. I was hanging with Toby and the dog death row guys. He was already telling people, I've already slept with her. We were 15 years old. 15, 14. Who really knows? Especially because she had gone to him and talked to him for 1-2 hours. I was still hanging with death row guys. Just watching, waiting for things to happen. Whatever happened, things passed on. He carried on with her best friend. I carried on with her. And we were living a good life for up until I think September. We started dating in February. Oh yeah, let's talk about that. So, on the Valentine's Day, asked her out. I wrote this letter, will you go out with me? It was a song, and PTO is another song or songs. So my dad picks us up. Because she's living outside town, she lied to her parents saying she's going to stay with a friend, do homework or whatever. But her friend and her partner were waiting for us outside her school to be picked up. And the weird thing is, friend was already dating a married guy. And this married guy I've talked about in a previous time capsule where I ended up dating a hoe. That night, I took her to Dawat, had a nice dinner, and then she's like, let's kill some time instead of calling your dad straight away. Just why don't we sit in the stairs? She had game, man. And women always do. They're always 5 years in advance. And when it comes to hiding things or planning, scheming things, they're just so good at these things. Like, let's just sit here. And then, yeah, it's Valentine's. She would give me 14 kisses. And those cheeks was so yummy. So marshmallowy. And then, called dead. I was very slow, man. I didn't progress. My friends would tell me within 3 weeks, they would already have a bucket. One of my friends told me this. He had a bucket next to the bed because he didn't like going down. So he would spit and then keep going. But I took ages to progress into anything. But before my dad came to pick me up, we actually smooched. And I felt my trousers tighten. I was like, what? You know, like every time I was in a new relationship, I always wanted to relive those, you know, puppy love kind of moments and things. So that happened, and then date, she would give me Boys to Men, she would give me all these tapes. Boom Boom by Sidhu, one of the best redone albums. Also Shaka Khan, I would first hear of Shaka Khan with the tapes she gave me. Ice MC, I used to love when we slow danced, and I've always loved slow dancing, especially because she was short, so she would stand on my feet and then we would just go round and round. Then we had our first breakup or fight. I don't know, you tell me. We were at this place where they had slides, mini golf, all that. We were playing this, that, and I had a cut somewhere. So I was just sucking on it, and she's like, no, give it to me. And she started, I got so angry. I'm like, who knows? You don't know. Nobody knows what sickness I have. I might have had some sickness. So she got upset with me. She stopped talking to me. It was the end of the world. To me, it was like, okay, broken up. It's over. Me thinking we were on a break. I end up getting seduced by my tuition study partner, whoever, Wafa. And the way she used to call my name, Paris. And Wafa, she wasn't the best looker or anything, but she was known to be a very loosey person. Apparently she was dating like 6 people in front of me, and she was really in love with Shahid, and a much older guy. So I would get to hang out with these older guys, Shahid and 2 other guys. One carried a gun, the other guy used to scrap metal, make money out of scrap metal. And we used to go to Safari Park Casino. So all this happened, rumors spread. Paris is already made out with someone else. So that caused a big ruckus in both the schools. And when there was rumors, you know what I'm saying, the Chinese whispers, she cried. She came running to me. She's crying, how could you do this to me? I was like, I thought you weren't talking to me. I thought we were broken up. So anyway, things didn't work out with Wafa because she was a bit of a more on the bad girl side than I was on the bad boy side. Especially because one of the tuitions, we skived the tuition. She's like, I've just got a headache, or just say you've got a headache or not come, and then let's go in the park. So we chilled in the park, made out, and man, the amount of tongue that was being used. And apparently she had swallowed quite a few Panadols. I could taste those. And outside those tuitions across the road was Miku, who was the Embu guy who I would be connected to with Namrata when I went to Embu. It was like we would still see each other. We still had that spark between each other. So much was going on. And I think she was also dating another guy called Mital Patel. He used to call crazy handshake, big biceps. And he really didn't like me. He's just like, Paris, man, still in love with you, man. No matter what I try, she still just talks about you, this, that. Every time. If you go to the club, she wants to go to the club for you. She wants me to take her to the club to see you. Like magic. The nasha, man. When you have the nasha, what can I do? Other things were my so-called bestie then. He was in boarding, so I understood boarding guys have a different code of ethics. They're more survival of the fittest. They have their own hazing rituals and all that. He started saying things about her. He's like, going camping with her. While I was going to the top camp with my boys, they were going to bottom camp with the bigger boys, older boys, this. So they're like, yeah, man, can't wait to get it drunk and do this and do that. I was like, there's no way this is happening. So I ended up getting drunk. I ended up going to bottom camp, and I'm like, listen, I need to talk to you. Songs or, Boys to Men, let's not wait till the water runs dry. So I sung her that. I told her, look, let's, whatever we made up, started back on track. So I blocked everyone else. And then we were back to normal, but there was some issue there. There was some friction because of the cheating. Apparently I cheated, and I went to UK for my first time. Go to UK, do everything. I had so many opportunities to do so many things. Get back to Kenya, and my cousin tells me, listen, man, I saw your girl doing some stuff in the barn. You need to talk to her. This is where it was so heartbreaking because I hadn't even reached second base, third base, none of the bases. And she's just like, yeah, I reached this base, that base. I'm like, how could you do this to me? And that's where I should have figured that a lot of women say, you are my first, you're my this. It's plausible deniability, and their version in their head is very different to what reality is. So after I found that out, I went hard, man. Listen, man, I need to cover bases. Let's cover bases. Tejesh's house, that was one of the best memories. we had started turning into this Sid and Nancy relationship, which we both loved because we both came from traumatic houses with a lot of dramas, and there are certain names for it. Some names are repetition, compulsion, trauma bonding, and familiarity pattern. You look for the same things you are used to from the toxic people in your life. If you're used to domestic violence, you're going to look for that. If you're used to being the scapegoat, you're going to look for being a scapegoat. I've been looking for this kind of thing. If you're looking for patterns where you like to lie, get caught, get punished, then make up for it and get the reward as the makeup, that was the pattern we were getting into. So this all would really escalate because we would have our issues, usual couple, 15 to 17-year-old couples. And one night I had come back, I went to a college. From that college, I went to another college because that didn't work. I wouldn't really even bother studying. And I would actually skive my college to make sure she went to her college because she was in a different college where they had a basement, they would go smoking. And man, the abuse I took of being called names just for getting rid of cigarettes or trying to do the right thing, that kind of added to my trauma dam until a big crash happened. Then the flood came through, which is most of the days I would know exactly where she was. Even if she wasn't in class, I would know where to find her. This time around, no matter where I went, I couldn't find her. And then all these guys from Clubhouse, the waiters or whoever it was, they're like, yeah, she went away with these bigger guys. Already that pissed me off. If she's not studying, I'm happy for her to spend time with me, but she went smoking and drinking or enjoying a day with other guys. And I was like, man, I didn't know what to do. I didn't know what I was going to do until I saw her. Got in the car and I lost it in a way that I really wish I didn't ever open that can of worms. It was pretty bad. And her dad especially already didn't like me because I was not a Shah. I was a Lohana. After that night, he really didn't like me. I actually felt so ashamed that I went back home, cut myself with razors, just kept punching myself, just trying to punch this monster out of me. And that's exactly the person I didn't want to turn into. And the worst thing was that was one of the big pennies which dropped it. I'm in that same environment where I'm turning. A bad apple is turning another apple bad. How do I fight this? I don't want to be this. And then things would carry on. Sid and Nancy situations in so many different cases until my best friend was involved. And what do I say? This best friend, I had a connection with him like no other. So I always wondered why he would sacrifice that for a woman who never liked him. It took her maybe after a few years where she finally put me to peace, where she's like, look at him and look at me. Would you think I would ever be with a guy like him? I was like, man, why didn't you tell me that from the start? All this time I had all these suspicions. The hints I got were the first time when we had all gone for movies and we were sitting at the back of the pickup. She was opposite us, me and my bestie next to each other. We always knew what we were thinking, doing, whatever. So he kept looking at her toes, which are very cute and funny. He's like, look at your toes. And she would cover the toes, but that would actually enhance the cleavage. So I was like, oh, I know. And dummy, I don't know why. Maybe when you're younger, you actually think that's funny. But now I know that I would have set a proper boundary saying, you know what, back off, or that's not cool. So that was the beginning of something, which would turn into me finding a lot of Hotmail emails with poems that he would send to her. And I'm like, why even do that? Apart from that, I would even confront him. There was one night I actually made him cry just by sitting and explaining to him, what you're doing is wrong. And he's like, oh, why don't you? And the weird thing is his own psychic cousin told him and me that I don't trust him. And I'm like, I don't trust you. After everything you've done, how would I trust you? But then there was this other character from Kisumu, very handsome guy. I don't know if they did tuitions together, if she cheated on me. I think she cheated on me with him, or they went out, or he wanted to go out with her and he was in love with her. He used to keep calling her. And that was the other thing. So many people were getting involved that the guy who was staying with this handsome guy would tell me that he came home for his birthday and she gave him a kiss. We would do that a lot to each other. I would do the same. It's not like I didn't have my own part in being a naughty person, a cheater. And for me, mostly it was because I was alone. When she wasn't around, I just needed to be with someone. Female energy and not wanting to be alone. The combination just led me to all these different bad girls. And mostly bad girls, man. The good girls, I would just sit in the car and talk to them because there's no excitement with the good girls. But one thing I never did was go past certain bases or cheat fully physically. And then we would all want to get out of our environment, whichever environment we were in. Only thing is, she got to go, my best friend got to go. They both got to go to Canada in separate states, but still Canada. And we all studied for SATs and everything. And one thing she really loved about me was my intelligence. She was a bit of a sapiosexual. She would melt with the stuff I would share with her that I know, I would research, find out this and that. And she also helped me when she was in Canada with the books. She'd send me the psychology book, which I've talked about. And then I've talked about how I ended up hooking up with her best friend from Canada, because how her best friend just knew exactly all the right buttons to press, right things to say, everything. Because she read all of Namrata's emails. We used to Skype or go and chew and spend a lot of time in a kiosk just down the road from her. So she would come, or brother, let's say, I'm just going shopping, this, that. And I remember her brother saying, Nami, tara mami tane bolave che. They used to make so much fun of her. She had the proper Indian accent at home. She used to say things like Ahmedabad, even Namarata. She wouldn't say Namrata, she'd say Namarata. Tuitions, I'm going to tuitions. I loved how she used to say, good morning. What was the other thing she used to say? When she got drunk, she would say, give me a milk of glass. Once I had the car, I used to drive behind her flat and talk to her through the window. I would try to find different ways. And then there was the Monica and Brandy story. Remember that song, The Boy Is Mine? So this one girl, I've talked about her. I used to chase her for ages. I never got her. We became best friends, talked this, that. When she came back from UK, we started spending time together. And Namrata was either in Canada studying, or she was around, but I had it. I was around that phase of enough of these lies and hiding and all this stuff. So I got in a relationship with my old flame. He gave me Brandy and Namrata gave me Monica, the albums of The Boy Is Mine. There was a big thing that happened in Mombasa Pirates in the club, because I had gone to see, and then she showed up. It's like they were going to have a bout with each other. So the thing is, I would avoid Namrata. And then I realized things are not really working out with, so what should I do? And then one day, Namrata just said, look, let's break up properly. Just come to my house. I think we both subconsciously knew what was going to go happen. She had the short, tight shorts, PJs coming down those stairs. And Mary, I'm in trouble. If this is the kind of love that the war folks used to warn me about, I'm in trouble. Yep, we created some trouble that night. Lunchtime over. So where were we? We created some trouble. That means we were back. And then I didn't have the heart to break up with Monica. So I told Brandy, can you do the deed? And the songs in those albums just fit perfectly for so many things, like Angel in the Sky, she was, but somehow you fell for her. But while we were out and about doing our thing, we used to have so much fun. Every day together, especially college days when we were together and then moved to Nairobi. They did have a fire at their house, but when we were hanging out, we say, now I have to thank a friend, RTA. Some tips she gave her. Other people she would get to meet while we were hanging out, and when she turned into this person hanging out with all the older guys and all that, would be one of her friends who had anorexia. We were in TS one day. I didn't know, I had known about the anorexia stuff, but you have this compulsion after you've eaten to quickly go and throw up and stuff like that. So turns out that this girl, I overheard them because a tree shade toilet, there was a gap up there and she was crying to Namrata. So ugly, and she was bones, man, nothing but bones. And she would talk about how I think it was the cheerleader teacher or the ballerina teacher who gave her this complex that made her feel like she was so ugly or too fat to do anything. That would be a problem, but that means this bad girl started teaching my girl how to steal. They would steal from the shops, sneak things. I used to be this righteous indignation I had. So many things she used to do, she just did because it was fun and this and while for me, it had to be sacred. I needed things to be at a special time. On birthdays, I want to do this. Even when I proposed to her, and I did propose to her, I forgot to talk about that. When we went to Mombasa, and we must have been both 20 years old. It was 2000, millennium, nomads. So back to the bad girl stuff. We used to hang around in Westlands. She would introduce me to this southern fried chicken burger with extra mayo, lettuce. Right next to Burger Hut. Go around. We used to have some conflicts at Pizza Corner. Not with the staff, just me and her. Open house was very popular. Go around. Pan, Shavana. I think either she had a special pan or we used to go and get this pan. And then opposite, there was a designer shop. So I had these special underwear. And ever since then, I've loved that fit. I think it's called boxer briefs. They're tight, so everything is in place instead of loosey and flappy. I think I got these ones called Maurice Malone. And then she got me the Alien Nation jacket. And this is where things were starting to disturb me because she got me the jacket. I hadn't even worn it yet. My bestie convinced her to play games with me that I used to play with her against other people. Like me and I would be like, you know what? I want Swahili Nation CD and to go to the concert. So get both my best friends to buy this for me. And then she would like nudge them in that direction saying, oh, this is what he wants. And then they would get it for me. But that was a small game. We used to play much bigger games and she was so naughty. She's like, I really want to be in a heist. So I used to plan different things and we did some things which were against the law. I've talked about some of mine, which is driving opposite the highway and other things, but let's just say we did some things against the law apart from small things like stealing and highway stuff. But you can see, so this is our Sid and Nancy side. If you've seen that movie or how they were, they loved that conflict. It was like oxygen. But I would really we both loved each other's intelligence. Our fashion senses was a big thing which drew us to each other because I would say I was more into style while she was more of a fashionista, more into fashions. The way I would see it is I created my own styles. I would pick from here and make my own. I wouldn't follow the crowd. And that would become a fashion because so many people would copy me. Not that I didn't copy off those other people. But she was into her label. She's like, Parag was dating Palvi that time. And Palvi's like, I like my man well labeled. And then even Namrata was like, I need the same for me. And I'm like, no, I don't want to buy this name on my behind. We would break rules and we would just get a rush from doing all these things. She would teach me about women. I would learn so much. Like, already, I think my mom's side of the guys are more tuned to how women are because they have sisters. I grew up with all these sisters. They already have an inside route to that psyche, that way. They're just naturally more engaging with women that way. I don't mean romantically. I mean mentally, emotionally, just that EQ is there. But then she would tell me about how body count works. A woman, if she says she's only slept with one, that means she slept with three. While a guy, if he says he slept with three, that means he's only slept with one. So it was a thing like that. Later on, I would read so many books, Sperm Wars, Red Queen. Recently, I've gone through one called Queen's Code. So all these just explain to you how things are so opposite and which is why opposites attract, but also why that there's that conflict. And then she would turn me on to this book called The Rules. These are the rules. All the rules of a proper lady, how she acts. Doesn't give things too quickly. Lets the guy pay, be charming, and so many. I'll try and share a screenshot or the table of content. It's in my blog somewhere. And she had the street smarts while I was what my uncle used to say, a dealer. So one day, my mom used to lend money to all her brothers and everyone to keep it safe because otherwise she was locked down with the money. I would have to go and pick it up from different people every now and then. And this time I went to one of my uncles, went and picked it up. I just took the envelope, started leaving. It's like, no, stop here, open it, count it, confirm with each other. My uncle was so impressed. He's like, Ane, keep her, man. This is very good. Time passes and slowly I start, like the relationship starts getting official. I start going to see the mom more often, having lunch with her. I used to keep money in the fridge. I never got chocolate in the fridge, but this is money in the fridge. And I could just see what a similarity between both of them. Very fiery characters, very sweet, very Indian. And then I would start hanging out with the little brother. I used to have a little gorilla hanging off my chest. I used to call him Coco because his name was something similar. The dad, me and him never got along. He oh my gosh, from the start, I don't think he liked me. First of all, I knew he didn't like me because I was not Shah. I was from the Lohana side. It's like those Lucha Lohanas or whatever names he used to call me. He wouldn't say anything to my face. But then once I called because my uncle died and I wanted to talk. And I'm like, man, my uncle's died. He's like, stop calling here. Don't ever call back here. And I wanted to drive there. Just beat the hell out of him. He would operate on quite a few people. I think he was like a only osteopath. Osteo is bones, osteosurgeon. I think in East Africa. So he was always busy, and which is why I got to get to see Namrata quite a bit. There was once he operated on my mom, and the bestie, he would joke. He's like, your dad forgets scissors inside other people's bodies and just stitch them back up. Mostly because he looked a bit syndromey. So he had that look. But now it came to that part where thing with not only the bestie, everything was adding up, especially the lies, man. And the thing is, she was used to that life because ever since she was much younger, whatever lifestyle it was, the parents were strict or whatever, she had to do these things. But I became so good at spotting the lies. Not only spotting the lies, I would know the sequence. So I would know what trap to set to make them dig their hole deeper so that I can catch them again and then set a trap. And the weird thing was, with her, she would be so impressed. She's, how do you know me so well? How do you know this? And then that would lead to good things. It would give me a big head and much more. One of the lies, even my mom got pissed off because she told her parents she's going off to Canada when the flight was the next day so that she could come and stay with me, and then I would drop her the next day. And that way she went out of the way and pulled out all the stops to just, these core needs. People have core needs. She would give me all those core needs, whether it was love language. And she knew she would buy my love, so she would keep sending me things, and then she would keep getting tickets back to chase away. Every time she left, I would end up being with someone else, and then she would chase them away. But that whole, the rush we were both getting from all these dramas, and it got to a point where she wanted me to get in fights with people. She'd try and intentionally make me jealous with that handsome guy or this person. Especially even that time when I made Bestie cry because he was not behaving nicely. Later on, she's like, just make me so, like percolate. Do the percolate. She made it percolate, man. It gave me such a rush. You didn't even touch him. You just sat there and made him cry with words. There was some things we could remember was if the girls had their bra strap out, we would say Indira Gandhi. And then I have this quote here from Nishi. It said that liar lies because they can't stand reality. So even if you tell a compulsive liar that they will not get in trouble if they admit it, they will still lie. They can't help it because the actual reality feels so shameful. I have a personal note about Enigma, Boyz II Men, As Yet, R. Kelly, and Baby Oil Gel. Yes, I loved my Baby Oil Gel. I think they've discontinued it because it might have been some danger. Some words she would use is chudro. She used to call me barero, marcho. I've already talked about that, was it Snow White story? After that, both of us felt a shift. I'm sure she must have felt the same. She's like, something has to change because we're just so pair bonded in so many ways, including the dramas. Perfect back and forth. People who met us and knew us, they're just like, you two are perfect for each other in every way, this and that. And we love that. We both love being in the spotlight, love being the stars of things. So seriously, man, it was one of those showbiz Hollywood kind of things. Go to drive-ins quite a bit. And one day I think I got drunk and I told her, you're the charisma of my Kapoor and entertain people. But she would introduce me to 70s shows, Scrubs, so many things. And then when I went to UK, I'm trying to figure out how this was. She had come to see me for a week or a couple of weeks. So she stayed with me in the box room at the crib. We did some things and then we went to go see one of our other besties quite a bit. And they were staying right next to a house of the night, the Ho House. So one day when I was really desperate to feed my addiction, I told Sagar, let's go there. And I knocked on the door, said, can I get some gear? And he heard girls because he was Eastern European. So we sat, there's just naked women walking around, half naked or underwear on the phone. And they're like, just wait, something's happening. And you could hear it happening upstairs. And no, we want gear, not girls. I was like, no, we don't do that. And I was so addicted, I was ready to risk being caught by reporting it to Namrata. That time we had gone to a special place, not Watertown, somewhere else, Westfield maybe. She bought me this blue pair of Aldo's, Batman cup, and I think a poster. Spent time. And we both felt different. I don't know if she felt it, but I know I felt different. After she left, I had a feeling we were not going to carry on much longer. And she was going to go back. She wasn't going to come to UK from Canada to Kenya. I was back and forth with all these other relationships until one day I was like, let me pull the pin. I don't know. I can't remember. I wish I had those phones or texts. I usually have all my sentimental stuff saved somewhere. I must have texted and said something so just not reversible that we didn't talk for ages. We can't keep going in this spiral which is going downwards. I can't because I'm building those pillars. It was the hardest thing, man. It was the hardest thing I'd done till then. And then after ages, I think she came to UK again, working with Abhishek Bachchan and traveling and all that. So I was like, man, that's so impressive. And then we went out. I think she wanted to do shopping, so I bought her a pair of shoes. Then I took her to one of my special places. And then I took her ankle bracelet as a souvenir, as a memory, whatever you want to call it. When she went back to her hotel, she's like, gonna come see my room and stuff. So I was like, sure. Even though I acted oblivious and whatever, it was one of those itches I didn't want to scratch because it just wouldn't be the right move just for whatever temporary thing would have happened. But part of me was still holding on to this fantasy. Mama's boys, they have a different look on things. They have a fantasy of things to what reality should be. At some point we talked, she had already moved on fully in every way with another guy. I just didn't want to believe it. And that kind of helped me to move on fully with my next girlfriend, who would end up being one of the best girlfriends I've ever had. But unfortunately, your next one is always bound to be your rebound, so that one. Even after the rebound, it just takes so much longer for guys. There was something I read. I think it takes guys half the time of the full relationship. So 9 years we were together. It would have taken me 4.5 years, especially if I didn't go the players route or these other ways where people, like I think it's called exposure therapy. You just expose yourself to so many different relationships, sleep around until you blur the other one completely. But it took me ages because I couldn't just jump in with anyone and everyone. And then I had also found some old emails where I'm still, years later, still hanging on to being needy. Every now and then I would relapse into this thing where, oh, we didn't really break up. Could you just officially break up with me? Because we didn't really break up. We just stopped talking as last time. So now, is it a breakup or is it a break? What is it? Those kind of things. I would just hold on to them. I would use them as an excuse to be, you were not there for me when my mother died. Something I found interesting was a lot of people would come and tell me that, you know what, just dating someone who looks just like you, just married someone who looks like a sleepy version of you, man. So I think it was in Psychology of Happiness, which talks about this, where people look for a specific look, especially an opposite look, because they will be naturally inclined to fall in love or go for this person because they will have the kids which will be perfect in a way. How do I explain it? A round-nosed person will look for a very sharp-nosed person. Tall person will look for a shorter person. And then when I go into my hero's journey phase, where I say bye to family, friends, and just go very far away, I would still be listening to songs. So before that, I would still listen to Anthony Hamilton quite a bit because he was singing the things I could align with. There was one song, I used to love someone, but now I'm on the run. That would start being my morning phase and all that. And then I would get into his other song, Did It For Show, which is where for ages, I thought I wouldn't fall in love until finally I did. Did it for sure? Why keep asking me? That song I used to sing to her personally inside. I was still holding on to. If we broke up in 2005, 2010 would be where I'm slowly leaving little bits and pieces now. Because 2005 playlist, you'll see there's one song, Piece by Piece is how I let go of you, kiss by kiss. But that's me and that's her. Really loved each other. Whether it was including the deviances, without the deviances, we just worked in so many ways. And I think it would have been a very different situation if this overseas thing didn't happen and if we didn't let all these extra cooks spoil the recipes. So many people. There was one time, it was my 18th birthday. I was telling my boy Nemu some secret, or we were talking about something. And Namrata didn't like that. So she saw us and she kept asking me and I wouldn't tell her. So she's like giving my full name very loudly and saying, I'll slap you. And it was just something she used to say a lot, but my dad heard it. And if you don't know, my family members, they will turn something into something I say akasmat, or like really Indian drama, thunder and all that had started. So after the party, my dad would raise that with me. It's like, no woman would ever say such a thing to guys with our kind of surname. Da, 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 da. So yeah, stuff like that. People just poking and putting in things. Just whisper in her ear, whisper in my ear, tell us different things, create different scenes. And I remember one guy, now it's funny, but back then he was like, he would come and tell me, yeah, man, she's a this and she's a that, you know what she's doing. And then he would still hang out with her, be her bestie and this and that. So I'm like, what is happening? Why are people like this? I really hope I haven't done something like that to someone else, man. That would just be so like, if I have, man, tell me, I'll apologize, I'll try and make it up. I totally forgot to tell you. In 2009, I think it would finally see her after ages. And we sat for hours and hours. We started talking, I think, in Rustic. Then we went to Exotica. And it's one thing I love doing, just sitting in the car and talking, just ordering food and whatever. That was a good one because I didn't really feel any kind of pull. There was always that part which was like, what if? And this one would be a much bigger what if than Becky. because 9 years, man, 9 years and 9 years. But then after 17 years, I saw her last year, and it just felt like, am I in a multiverse? Remake of something, like a remix? I know that person. I knew that person. Old me knew that old person in ways, and what? It was just unreal, and still got them sexy toes.